Hey there, and welcome back to Utility Sports. In today's video, we are doing a 4-round New York Giants mock draft. I'm really excited for this one because I think the Giants have an interesting opportunity in the NFC East, just considering it is a wide open division. And all of last season, it was completely up for grabs who was going to win it. But we're going to take a look at who's gone off the board here so far for the New York Giants. It's really unfortunate because Jalen Waddle and Jamar Chase have gone off the board, but there is somebody that's very, very interesting that still remains for the New York Giants to select. That is Devonta Smith. And kind of looking at the Giants as a whole, I really think they need a dynamic playmaker. And a guy like Devonta Smith, to me, really makes a lot of sense for this football team, just considering what they have now. Obviously, Golden Tate got cut. I think Devonta Smith is a home run pick if he is still available at 11. I don't know the likelihood that a guy like Devonta Smith would still be available. I think, I think that you could look at a guy like Waddle possibly still being there, but I'm not exactly sure if Devonta Smith would fall this far. But obviously, if you are the New York Giants, you are going to run that pick up to the podium. But otherwise, we can look at the edge spot as well. I think that, just with how free agency could play out for the Giants, you might need an edge at this spot. But for me personally, I think it's pretty clear and obvious that you do have to go with a guy like Devonta Smith. And we're going to kind of see how this board plays out. Mac Jones of the 49ers, that is kind of interesting with that selection. And, for me personally, with this next pick, I'm really hoping that there is an edge still available just to kind of protect the Giants from, having to worry about that edge spot when next year rolls around if free agency doesn't go according to plan. So that's something you got to keep in mind if you're a Giants fan. Obviously, you want to be able to retain the ends that you have. And we are sitting here at pick 42. And let's kind of take a look at how the edge spot has turned out. A guy like Joseph Osai has been undervalued, I feel, because at one point in the season, he was a consensus first round pick. Now we come back here at pick 42, and he is still available. So I think that's definitely a guy we need to keep our eye on is Joseph Osai. We could also look to that backup tight end spot, Pat Fryermuth from Penn State. Brevin Jordan's another guy that we might be possibly looking at here. And let's take a look at the corner spot because I think that's another place that we could look. Uh, I mean, it's really hard to kind of stay away from Asante Samuel Jr. for the Giants. Obviously, they have Bradbury and a guy like Julian Love, but I'd like to add to the depth of that corner room a little bit. I am going to go with Asante Samuel Jr. here, and I'm going to hope that some of the edges do come back to us with the next selection, just because I want to bolster the depth of that corner room. Obviously, it is important to have corners in this league, so we will go ahead and take Asante Samuel Jr. I'm really liking how the draft has turned out so far. You come with Devonta Smith and then Asante Samuel Jr. the pick right after it. I think that's a really good start for Joe Judge and the Giants. And we are at pick 76 with the Cowboys just picking ahead of us here. Let's take a look at the edge spot once again. I think a guy that was extremely productive even before transferring was Quincy Roche. I definitely think that he's a guy worth noting at this spot. We can also look at that tight end room. Brevin Jordan is still available. That makes things a little interesting, just considering that I think Brevin Jordan is a phenomenal talent sitting here in that third round. You have to decide, are you going to prioritize that edge spot? Uh, man, I think for me, I do want to stick on that edge spot and go with Quincy Roche, just considering we have to protect ourselves for free agency. Obviously, once free agency rolls around and we get to see who signs where, this will be a little more clear for us when we do it the next time around. So, Giants fans, I do understand. You're sitting pretty good right now with how it stands if you're able to retain guys like a guy like Leonard Williams, but at the same time, we don't know the status of that moving forward. So we will have to continue to monitor that. And we should be coming up to our pick, which is 116. I think we should monitor that tight end room once again. Yeah, tight end room isn't super strong. as we get to this point in the draft. Obviously, we do have a couple of running backs available. I'm not in the market for that. Going to look on the interior, that defensive line, possibly. I'd like to add another linebacker to the mix as well. Not super great how that played out. And this is something that we do need to monitor as well, because Zietler might be moved, whether it's a trade or whether he's cut. So I do think we need to consider that as well. I think we have to go with Trey Hill from Georgia, just considering if Zietler gets moved, you got to have a starting level guard ready to go. Obviously, I'm not sure if Hill is that long term option, but I mean he's at least a stopgap guy, a guy that you can plug in for a little while and eventually upgrade over. But you do have to have some bodies along that offensive line to create running lanes for Saquon Barkley and give Daniel Jones some time to throw. So we have to make sure that we're staying protected on the interior of that offensive line. And that is the finalization of the 4 rounds. Let's go ahead and take a look at the picks. Devonta Smith in the first. We addressed that wide receiver position. Round 2, we come back with Asante Samuel Jr., which I feel very strongly about, going ahead and getting another corner in that cornerback room. Third round, Quincy Roche, the transfer, ended up at Miami. And then Trey Hill is the final pick for the New York Giants. I'm really satisfied with how this turned out. Obviously, I think it's a home run pick at pick 11. I also think it's a really interesting pick with Quincy Roche here in that third round, a guy that was once thought of being a potential top 20 selection. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. I had a lot of fun doing this. Let me know in the comment section below, what team do you want to see? Also, leave a like on the video if you did enjoy what you've seen today, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.